I felt that God specifically told me to start building Heartland, and He would send the people. I was driving down the road right over here. I could take you to within 100 feet of the spot. And God spoke to me and said, I want you to start a place for young people. He wanted me to build this place. It's a place that we lived, a place that we come to, a place that we give our lives.
The core purpose of why we're here is youth, men, women, and the lost, and helping them to be discipled, bringing them to the Lord, discipling them, and then being able to send them out with a foundation that will give them the ability to go out and repeat again with others the hope of eternity. When I made up my mind, as long as the Lord gave me breath, I was going to give everything to Him. It's only the grace of God that gives me the strength to do that. When we see and understand and know what the power of God is doing in people's lives, that's what we're called here to do. We're called to lead people out of darkness into the light. That is our calling. That's what we're called for. That's our goal, to have a Bible college, maybe even a junior college, eventually at Heartland. My dad always had a saying, don't ever give up. Tomorrow may be tough, but we'll get through it. We're going to build a city of refuge. These men, there's many of these guys that have wonderful men in communities, but some way they lost their way. And now today, they found their way. You know what the way is? Jesus Christ. It's not another thing. There is no other answer. I know how it is with us at Heartland. There's times when you think, we really don't think we're gaining much. But then there comes a time that, my goodness, the floodgates of heaven open and people get blessed and saved. I just want to say to you, don't despair. Right. God is alive. Amen. And that's all there is to it. Amen. He's on the throne, and in the end, we win.
Amen. Amen.
No question.
We know that.
Thank you for joining us for the Heartland Homecoming online event. We are so sorry we had to cancel our in-person event as a result of rising COVID numbers. It was a really hard decision, but the health and safety of our guests is very important to us.
I'm sad about it too. We were really looking forward to reconnecting with you. Instead, we've done a quick pivot to bring you this online event and share what God is doing at Heartland today, celebrate God's faithfulness through the year, and honor our founder, Charlie Sharpe.
One of the things we were all looking forward to was hearing from Al Robertson. So we asked if he'd share a little with us over video. Take a look at this clip.
Hey guys, Al and Lisa Robertson. We're coming to you from West Monroe, Louisiana, our home. Unfortunately, we're not coming to you from Missouri because you guys have had an outbreak there, and man, we're praying for you guys. We're hoping for mild cases and nobody to get super sick or have any problems. So just want you to know we're praying for you guys. We're super excited about the celebration. I know it's kind of limited now to what it was going to be, but 26 years of doing this fantastic ministry. What a vision for people. So much of what you guys are doing, we're doing here in West Monroe. Your guys are just doing it kind of in a closer proximity. And I love that, and we just want to congratulate you on that and just let you know that we care much about what you guys are doing.
We also have had a life of restoration. Whenever we were younger, we lived, those lives like you guys have, and we had to come to a point where we came to the Lord, and we asked for that forgiveness, and we're just grateful that you guys are celebrating so many years, 26 years of giving hope and restoration. That's amazing.
Lisa and I started a company whenever we started writing books and going and speaking and, just trying to bring some hope to other people. And we call it LA Restored. And so my accountant said, "Oh, that's great, Louisiana Restored." And we said, "No, Lisa and Alan Restored," because God put us together. And that's what we're doing now, is we're bringing that hope and that message to other people. And so hopefully, Lord willing, we're going to be able to come back at some point in the future with you guys and do a true celebration, shake your hands, hug your necks, and meet a lot of you and really give you a proper thank you. But we just want you to know we're proud of the work that's going on there. We're praying for you guys, and just hope, even with all this going on, that you realize that in the end, we're going to win because God is on our side. So you guys have a good celebration. We'll have another one somewhere down the road, and hopefully we'll be there.
Thanks, Mr. Robertson, so much for sharing with us. Up next, we want to share some testimonies. We're so grateful to witness many lives being freed from addiction and life-controlling issues through the power of God, and we thought you would like to see some of them too. Roll the clip.
Well, folks, here we are. I don't think any of us expected or wanted us to have this online event, but here we are. Sometimes when life gives you something, you got to roll with it and run with it. It's almost like it's the story of my life. For those of you who all know who I am, my name is Daniel Ballard. I've lived here at Heartland for the last 20 years. I am a child of the South, but I call this place my home. For those of you who know me, know that at 6 months old, I was abandoned by my mother, who decided to walk the life of addiction to alcohol. And I didn't know who she was until age 10, when she came back into my life and remarried my father. Unfortunately, she brought back the addiction of alcohol with her. And from age 10 to 12, my life was a living hell. When she was supposed to be going to the store to buy eggs, bread, and milk, and pay for the electric bill and pay for the water bill, she was taking that money and buying booze. And so there were many times where I went without. Not only did she financially destroy our household, she emotionally left scars and physically left scars on me. In 2000, she decided to come up here and go through our women's recovery program. In August of 2001, she graduated, and I decided to move up here with her to do some reconciliation between me and her. My older brother also joined me. A couple months down the road, though, that life of addiction, she ran to once again and abandoned me one more time. My dad came up to me and asked me if I wanted to stay here to at least graduate through high school, and the decision was mine. And I'm very grateful that he presented that to me, because what I saw here, and it's what I actually want to explain and share with you all, was what this community did for my family and me. And we are not a perfect community. Anyone who has lived here any moment of time would know that. But what this community does do is it fosters a living concept of kingdom and legacy. Your legacy is your footprint upon the earth. It's what you leave behind. And when we talk about the life of a person who's suffering from addiction, I likened it to a story, to a real life story that happened to me when I was in high school. My dad and my brother and I went up to Philadelphia one summer to visit the East Coast and see all the historical sites and things like that. And we went into this hotel room, and as soon as we opened the door, we could smell a stench. It smelled like a urinal, and it stank really bad. But, I was really tired. I was really exhausted. And I said, Dad, I know it stinks in here, but let's just stay in here for one night. And Dad said, no, son, we've got to take care of this. And I said, well, why? He goes, well, if we check out and the cleaners come in the next day, they're going to bill us another $100 for the mess that this room's in. And I said, wait a minute, you're telling me someone from the past, someone that came here before us, gave us this stinky room, and we've got to not only just live in it for the day, but we got to foot the bill for their mistakes and their stuff? And he said, yeah, that's just the way it is. I said, that's not fair. And he goes, that doesn't matter. Now we can do something about it. And so we went and talked to the hotel manager, and we were able to switch rooms. But unfortunately, that's a snapshot of a lot of our lives, is we were given a stinky room from things that we didn't do. We were given addiction that when you go and track it back, it was, I abused drugs because my dad abused drugs because my grandpa abused them, and it's just passed down and down to us. And again, life, just like the reason why we're on this, while we're doing this online, life has a way of changing things, and life has a way of bringing everything to a head. In 2016, I was working in one of our fields over at our farm, and I received a phone call a number that I didn't recognize, and I answered it. It was my mother. I had not spoken to her in years. I hadn't seen her in years. But somehow she had gotten my phone number, and she was calling all of her children. There's 7 of us from 4 different fathers all across the time zones in America. She was asking me for forgiveness. And I told her, I said, yeah, Mom, I forgive you. But, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was allowing one of those chains to stay on me. I said, but don't show up at my front porch. Don't do that. And I didn't see it at the time, but I was allowing a chain to stay wrapped around me. And it was one I could hide pretty good. So in 2020, life came and hit my family pretty hard, gave us a swift kick in the gut, and I wasn't looking for it. So many times life happens to us because of consequences of what we did, but that wasn't the case here. And sometimes life just happens. And that's happened in August of 2020. And I'm not going to get into all the stories. We would be here till midnight telling the stories of what happened. But you just got to believe me, life was happening. And once again, that community came around me and my family. And I had men that knew that I was struggling come to me and say, hey, Daniel, I know you're struggling, but come here, let me pray for you. And just, it seemed like every week something was happening in that time period that just, my family was just being attacked. It was just really rough. And so I'm out there at our local range and I'm setting stuff up for later that night, and I get another random phone call. It's a nurse from Helena, Montana. And she asked me, are you Daniel? And I said, yes. Is your mother Debbie? And I said, yes. She said, well, I don't know when the last time you talked to your mother, and I don't know if you know that she's been living here, but it's that phone call that we all dread to hear one day. Life of addiction to alcohol was going to kill her. She had cirrhosis of the liver, she was on a ventilator, and she wasn't going to get out of that hospital bed alive. I didn't want this stinky room. I didn't want all this. She did this to me. And God said, okay, you're right. You inherited this stinky room. You don't have to do anything about it. Everyone from behind you, all your generations, kick this can on down the road. Because I saw a pattern emerging with my mom and her dad and his dad. There would be the abuse from the parent, then the depression, and then the addiction. And that scared me. On October 18th, we were all able to be there. We got the report from the nurses. She wasn't going to get better. We said the salvation prayer because at least one thing was going to happen. We were not going to live with any regrets. And I hope I get to see my mom in heaven one day. And I don't know, but I know one thing. The chains are off of me and no regret is on me. And God, He reveals to me, you know, today your mother is going to die. The one that abandoned you, the one that left scars on you. The one that wasn't there for you. But there's another woman who calls you mom, who was there for you in your times when you needed someone the most, who's still there for you praying. Today's her birthday. So I got on the phone and I called Elisa Bach and I just said, happy birthday. Thank you for being the mom that I needed. Thank you for being there for me. I really appreciate it. This woman was thinking legacy. There at the hospital, I had 5 minutes left with my mom to say whatever I wanted to say by myself. And just as I'm speaking to you, I was talking to her and I was forgiving her of everything. And I remember telling God, I said, God, don't let this story of forgiveness end here. And Hollywood can't write the script that comes next. As we are all back in the room together, we start unhooking the machine and turning everything off, and my mother is passing away. My wife's phone starts ringing. One of the people we had been praying for fervently called. And it's their story. I'm not going to say it here, but basically I'm going to tell you, chains were breaking in that moment. And it was where God really met me. And so before we left, I told my brother and my sister, I said, listen, just because our mama died doesn't mean her demons are going away. They're coming after us. And when they realize they can't take us out, they're going after our children. Ask me how I know. And so that's the question I want to leave with you all today as you go about your day. Find those people that you can leave a legacy to. Think kingdom when we're going to church, your local church, and find those who need help, who are struggling with an addiction. And you may be sitting there and thinking, well, I'm 60 years old, Daniel. I've already lived a life. I don't have any way to change my legacy. See, we serve the ultimate Redeemer. And forget about the stinky room. He'll give you a new house because He's that good and He's that awesome. Thank you for allowing me to tell you my story through His grace.
It's amazing to think of the legacy of changed lives. I love hearing about what God has done to carry people through their darkest times, and honestly, I was really looking forward to catching up with people and hearing more of these stories in person. Could you do us a favor? If you have a story about how God used Heartland to help you, would you be willing to record yourself and share it with us? You can submit videos to mystory@hland.net. We would like the chance to share your story with others about what God has been doing.
We would be amiss if we didn't take the time to remember the man who made Heartland possible. Charlie Sharpe poured his time and resources into building a place that helps the hurting and gives people a safe place to get their lives back together. We really miss our pastor, and we are honored that we get the chance to continue his legacy. So here's a few moments to remember him, and then we'll have a quick look back at 26 years of ministry here in Northeast Missouri.
I felt that God specifically told me to start building Heartland, and He would send the people. I was driving down the road right over here. I could take you to within 100 feet of the spot. And God spoke to me and said, I want you to start a place for young people.
Heartland has been guided by one purpose since being founded in 1995 by Pastor Charlie and Laurie Sharpe in the middle of this Missouri cornfield. That is to help hurting people get away from the distractions of life and find hope through Jesus.
He wanted me to build this place, a place that we lived, a place that we come to, a place that we give our lives.
If we can get our focus and put our trust in that calling, in that purpose, the programs flourish. The lost will be saved. We will be operating as the church is intended to operate. And that's what God wants.
We're going to build a city of refuge.
You could see it boldly stated on the trucks carrying milk. Jesus is the answer. You could see it in the outreaches to the community through spiritual warfare and training, or SWAT. It was felt around the world, from the large evangelistic gatherings in the stadiums of Colombia to the tiny villages in the hills of the Philippines, and evident when visitors came to pet goats, watch the dairy carousel, tease the monkeys, and taste our finest cheese.
The need to have a place of peace and the place of rest and a place of protection for people. And that's what Heartland is about. We're a place that protects people. We're a place that encourages people. We're a place that loves people. We're a place that spends all of our time, our effort, our money, everything goes to help people. When we see and understand and know what the power of God is doing in people's lives, that's what we're called here to do. We're called to lead people out of darkness into the light. That is our calling. That's what we're called for.
Every area of Heartland shared the goal of helping people, restoring families, shining the light of God locally and internationally. and bringing the lost to know Jesus.
Families that have their kids, the mother and the dad and their children, which were completely separated and dysfunctional, and now they have a life. It's very emotional. It's sometimes I'm almost carried away with the wonderment of God's grace.
Men, women, and children came to this community of hope looking for help. Many have found new life in God through a relationship with Jesus Christ, and people keep coming.
The core purpose of why we're here is youth, men, women, and the lost, and helping them to be discipled, bringing them to the Lord, discipling them, and then being able to send them out with a foundation that will give them the ability to go out and repeat again with others the hope of eternity.
We are so grateful for those who became part of the Heartland community family throughout the years, and for those who linked arms with us to sow seeds into this field. Because of you, a spiritual harvest and an eternal impact continue to be made in lives and families. May God continue to bless you as you serve Him. Thanks for celebrating with us for Heartland's anniversary, and welcome home.
What a blast from the past. It's so cool to see all the people who have been a part of changing lives here at Heartland. Thank you to everyone who has spent a season here pouring into youth, men, and women. And again, we're so sorry we had to move this online. We're looking forward to the day we can meet again without worrying about pandemics.
Be sure to follow us on our social media pages, because we'll be looking to try and do an in-person homecoming event in the future. We apologize if we've drastically messed up your plans. Our heart is to keep everyone safe. Hopefully this video has been a good consolation prize. We love you guys and thank you so much for your support. God bless.